Oh no, I'm cancelled again! I think it's hilarious that a Kotaku reporter is so triggered by the demolishment of woke games this year that they are now combing through thousands of Naval Saturday tweets to try and cancel me. This is because I'm effective and their world is crumbling. I think it's because you're a lolicon, sir. You are into drawn sexualized pictures of kids and sharing drawn sexualized pictures of kids. So some of you are asking, who is Grummz? Grummz, it's not a name I probably would have known a couple years ago, but now he's at the forefront of right-wing culture wars, and he made a name for himself with the Stellar Blade controversy. Stellar Blade was a video game that has a sexy woman as the protagonist, and she performs in the game in a number of sexy costumes, and those sexy costumes, when it was announced by the South Korean development team to their release, changed some of the costumes. That's totally normal. That's what game designers do. They change the game as they work on it. Those changes were apparently part of the woke, and part of the woke agenda to take away your titty skin. So if you're a man who enjoys looking at boobies, if you're a man who enjoys looking at titties, suddenly there's going to be a release of the game that doesn't have quite as much titties. He saw this as, again, the battle of wokeness. The game developers had no idea what the fuck was going on. They weren't even really paying attention for a long time until it became such a huge culture war thing. And honestly, it was kind of silly. But it's something most people would have just laughed at. Because, again, it's a bunch of adults, mostly men, who are posting videos of themselves getting really angry about how much titty skin is left in a video game. It went from, there was 25% cleavage to 24% cleavage, or 23%, and that was enough for the cause. They started a petition. They got their costumes, I guess. They considered it a victory, even though the developer just released the costumes that they had planned to release. Anyways, it's weird. He's gone on to do a whole bunch more culture war things. Doesn't matter what video game or movie is coming out. The Acolyte Star Wars is too gay. Warhammer isn't, adhering to the anti-woke brigade. Hell Divers apparently is a parody of fascism, but not actually a pro-fascist game. This is the woke, once again, the woke. And so more people were looking into who exactly is Grummz, the guy who's at the center, kind of the Chris Rufo, I guess, of video games and movies, so to speak. So he was a video game developer. He originally worked for Blizzard. He went from working for Blizzard to being the owner-operator of his own gaming company that developed and released the game Firefall. He ended up spending so much of the game's company money on promotional stuff that everyone thought was ridiculous, like the giant sperm bus. I'm sure you've all seen pictures of it, to try and make a giant bus that people could play the game in like local area networks kind of stuff. And then eventually he went to crowdfunding after that. And so he started crowdfunding for a game called The Nine. And I think it's changed name since then. Chinese game developer and publisher The Nine has been betting big over the past few years with Firefall. Okay, so this is The Nine, the studio behind Firefall. I got this wrong. In 2013, wins came to a close. It was clear that Firefall hadn't yet attained the level of popularity that The Nine was hoping for, and The Nine removed the Red 5 CEO Mark Kern from his position shortly before Christmas. It raised questions about the future of the project and about Kern's relationship and the degree to which he's responsible for some of the Firefall's failings. Kern came to the Red 5 studio with an incredible pedigree, having worked on a number of Blizzard's most popular titles, including StarCraft Brood Wars, before closing out his time as a team lead for World of Warcraft. Given his experience with competitive esports titles like StarCraft and the addictive MMO World of Warcraft, he seemed like an ideal man for the helm of Red 5's Firefall. After all, The Nine was hoping the game could be both a massive multiplayer hit and the game was a tight balanced PvP to make a splash in the esports scene. Kern came through with Red 5 right in the nick of time, with money in hand. At the time, the studio was near bankruptcy. Here was a man with the right credentials, the right history, and the money for the right investors that could help keep the company and by extension keep Firefall afloat. There was a time when it seemed it was insane to suggest that there was something wrong with Red 5. Kern, one of the company's co-founders, and he was it. After his dismissal the weekend before Christmas, Kern released a somewhat cryptic statement in which he called the time at Red 5 my own Kobayashi Maru, a reference to the fictional Star Trek training exercise that is designed to be impossible in order to test the candidate's response to a no-win situation. The implication seemed to be that Kern's failure was inevitable, presumably because he was tasked with developing a game that couldn't be successful, which I would have sympathy for. It's sometimes very, very difficult. You got these big releases, you got a crunch, you got, time frames, budgets, temporary workers, all that stuff. But this weekend, an anonymous Red 5 employee took to Reddit to question Kern's narrative, posting a lengthy diatribe that accused Kern of a litany of mistakes and overreaches, spending millions of dollars to promote a game that was still in alpha. In his post, they said that Kern vastly overspent ill-advised promotional stunts and failed to pan out, funneling both funds and focus away from the work on the actual game. Kern, for example, established a separate video production team, outfitting with the Red brand production gear, amongst the most expensive in the industry, and ever-expanding staff and a separate soundstage. The team was used to make live-action Firefall videos, but it also worked on the vaguely related and stillborn and brutal, whimsy put it, Game Changers game, and on several completely unrelated projects. So it seems like he used a lot of their money to build this really expensive filming studio that eventually he wanted to use for maybe his own projects. Seriously, can anyone tell me how this cringe-inducing pandering music video for some random band was helping promote Firefall? Incidentally, I could write a whole separate article about how stupid this video is. It's now taken down. I don't know if that's because Kern doesn't want it getting out, but oh, we got the sperm bus here, by the way, if you haven't seen what the sperm bus looks like. They also cited the Kern-driven promotional project that went horribly awry, the creation of the Firefall themed bus that was meant to serve as a mobile promotional tool and mobile server from which to host the competitions via the local area network, which the game was still in beta. The bus was also meant to expand via hydraulics to increase its size, and they suggest that the project cost about $3 million to build the sperm bus. The bus contract was given to West Coast Customs, the vehicle that makes the MTV show Pimp My Ride, and West Coast Customs apparently botched things, going over budget and delivering the van both late and missing a lot of the key features. It missed premieres at all the major conferences, but now sits in a warehouse somewhere collecting dust. So this is what the inside of the sperm bus looked like. You get to sit in the sperm pods inside the sperm bus. So this was a $3 million promotional bus. It was the world's highest profile car customizer. That wouldn't be a priority for a game that was at the time still in its alpha. Oh, pre-alpha, never mind. In a separate thread, he admits the bus was terrible. But far more damning was Kern's apparent overspending on promotional features. He would swoop in one afternoon, berate a series of features several teams had spent months on, declaring that they begin and listen to what he had told them to do. He'd be back a few days to see if it was done. This crushed morale, forced people into spontaneous isolated crunch mode. He would shout and scream at his perspectives. He would ignore anything that didn't fit his immediate viewpoint, which was subject to sudden violent changes. He would rage email people in small hours of the night or on weekends. He would spell bile and vitriol to the point where he would give some employees, mostly his production crew, access to a safe word. This was in case he was being particularly verbally abusive. Someone could yell it out and email it to him, and that would clam him up. He had the misguided notion that he could frequently write quality fiction, and they would force feed it to members of the writing team. He fired people on the spot, berating and screaming at them publicly. He threw temper tantrums and objected around the office. The CEO goes through spurts and can be seen here for weeks at a time, then suddenly would just disappear. He tried to compensate by having open company meetings with anyone who would like to attend, but if he did, he would postpone or cancel. It's nothing that's hearing his ideas about the book he has written. Employees were fired for not for messing up, but for offending him. In fact, as long as you were in good standing with the CEO, your job was always protected. So basically, cozy up to Kern and his dictatorship, and Grummz was happy you got to keep your job. Most of the upper management, including and especially the CEO, are often AWOL for lengthy periods of time, only to show up one day and announce a new strategy for the project. Despite all the talk of an open culture, if you disagree with upper management or run afoul with the CEO, you can expect a short walk to the door. So this was basically his time with, I guess, this company, and eventually his own corporation he was cast astray from, for I guess at this point it's pretty obvious reasons. The guy kind of just really sucked. It seems like someone who came from a lot of credentials, working on huge games, huge MMOs, massive titles that you can then put on a resume, and then once you got in the position of absolute power, you used it absolutely and just squandered and wasted tons and tons of money and made life hell for everyone else inside Red 5 Studios. So this was Mark Kern. So he rebrands himself as this online figure known only as Grummz. If you're watching on YouTube, that's the pictures that are in the URL. Those were Grummz. For a long time, I didn't know that he was the same Mark Kern from Red 5 Studios. I didn't know this guy. I just knew him as this kind of like avatar cartoon character who's just obsessed with culture war shit. He's one of the biggest people who have been trying to push not only the, anti-woke gaming brigade and all that kind of stuff, DEI, Bridge, Sweet Baby Game or Sweet Baby Inc. are incorporating wokeness into video games and destroying studios. And every single time, he never found a single culture war thing that he didn't love and affix himself to instantly, such as, the recent, I think it was, who was putting together that game? Assassin's Creed Ubisoft, the new Assassin's Creed Ubisoft that has a black samurai as the protagonist and one of the playable characters. He's one of the people who led the charge to say this is completely ahistorical. There's no such thing as the black samurai. This never happened. This person didn't have the status of samurai at the very least. The Japanese are furious about this. They're all very up and super angry about it. They feel that this is erasing their own history. And then, of course, a number of prominent Japanese content producers, video video producers, YouTubers, VTubers all came forward being like, this looks awesome. We're very excited. It became one of the most like hyped up games in Japan on the Amazon wish list. That didn't stop a good story, and they've continued to push again all this nonsense. It sucks that he's kind of now become such a huge figure simply because you can grift on the right in this way. If you focus on culture war issues, then you're going to be on Geeks and Gamers, Nerdotic, you name it, the Quartering. They're all going to embrace you immediately, and that's why they all love Grummz and all the things that Grummz does. So for a while, it just seemed like Grummz was going to continue to get away with Grummz shit. Grummz game, let's see if we have the video footage of it. He also fleeced a lot of people online for a video game that he was designing, where essentially it was going to be his production team making this game. I think it's the Ember 8. It's been in development for 8 years. Which again is one of those things where it's a very long time to develop a video game, but an independent video game can be developed for 8 years. It's not necessarily a scam. But once people started pointing out that it's been years and years, there's been very few updates, he started releasing some character models to attack the woke mob who's coming after him, and released these screenshots of the game that's in development. There's also video game footage of it. I played it on stream a couple days ago, but I can't find the actual link. But it basically shows the gameplay is well still within the early stages of development. It's so bad. The water effects are worse than Mario 64. It's literally like you're walking, and then as you approach water, you walk into the water, and the water disappears. So that's technically you're now in water, but the water doesn't exist as you walk through it. Like, again, it looks what you'd expect someone with, say, $10,000 to have done in a month kind of stuff, while 8 years and hundreds of thousands of dollars later, Grummz is still grifting his audience for Grummz shit. Now, the Grummz shit does also kind of overlap with a lot of the fucked up shit that was happening this year at TwitchCon. There's a lot of people who decided TwitchCon this year was going to be their target. They were going to show up at TwitchCon, usually cis men dressed in dresses or dressed as women, pretending to be trans, and create a scene because Twitch is woke now. Video games are woke now. So you're going to be totally fine if, you know, I try to get you to say the wrong pronouns and stuff like that. It's going to be so funny, super edgy humor. So Kick streamers were doing this. They were running around a lot of the con, trying to create culture wars related to video games or incite culture war topics, get people to talk about things like, hey, what do you think about the fact that there's, like, you know, the erasure of Japanese history with a black samurai? What do you think about the fact that Stellar Blade apparently went woke and you're not allowed to show titties in video games and all that kind of shit? Yeah, Kick is a dumpster fire and did lead to a lot of fucked up shit this year. Hundreds of streamers and viewers flocked to San Diego for TwitchCon 2024. While the event was being filled with exciting announcements from the platform, things got a bit awkward during one of the NMP's meet and greets. On September 20th, Nick and Nimple Polum was streaming with fellow creator Wake Wilder when another streamer with green hair and a dress showed up and introduced themselves to the two. After a brief conversation that included suggestive comments, the Kick streamer, later identified as DBR666, asked NMP if he could kiss his forehead. DBR then proceeded to smooch NMP's head several times, prompting the streamer to break it up. I really like you, they said multiple times before eventually going to hug NMP, kissing and licking his chest. Don't give me any more of that, NMP responded, trying to end the awkward conversation. TBR turned the attention to Wilder and shook his hand before kissing it multiple times. The duo were able to get away with it shortly thereafter, but were clearly put off by the encounter. We need hand sanitizer, we need napkins, we need towels right now. This is code red. That dude licked my forehead. The streamer's chat was concerned, arguing that they'd been sexually assaulted, but Nick remained adamant that he was okay, denying that he was a victim. That shit doesn't bother me, insisted it's not an issue. He followed it up by sharing thoughts on X, commenting, holy fuck, that was weird. Don't ever do that shit, please. Talk to someone or stay inside if you can't behave. Shortly after the unwanted contact, security escorted DBR out of the event for violating Twitch codes of conduct, but the Quick streamer ended up becoming agitated, claiming they were being removed for wearing a dress. It's not clear if NMP plans to press charges. This is hardly the first time this has been unwanted. Encounters like this at TwitchCon 2022, security had to get involved with numerous stalkers, followed Amaranth around TwitchCon for events around the venue. There was so many reports of this, by the way. I saw people posting, like, TwitchCon used to be fun. Now it seems to be just like how many Kick trolls can run around trying to get quick clips and moments for basically the Kick network and then get kicked out. That sucks. That sucks that that's a part of it now. You know, because anyone who wants to can go to a TwitchCon. You just have to basically have a Twitch account and then register and then apply to go to the festival and pay the ticket. So the people are going to use it just to be able to try and create and farm outrage. That's shitty. That's going to make it less fun. But what's even shittier is the new revelations that have just been leaked over the weekend. So, speaking about Grummz, and I got to give a shout out to two big accounts here, both Sprog, which is at Agit Popcorn, so at Agit Popcorn, as well as at Wash Your Crack. This one's a lot easier to remember. At Wash Your Crack and at Adjapopcorn did a deep dive into Grummz social media history and revealed what is now known as the Grummz tweets. These are archived snapshots of Grummz Twitter page from specified days. Some have more than one. Tens of thousands of tweets are lost forever due to the gaps in the archive combined with Mark's excessive deletion. After this got leaked, obviously, he began mass deleting a lot of his tweets. But it turns out Grummz, like I guess a lot of these people from the Mark Robinsons onward, have this thing where they have a lot of fucked up history in the past. A lot of fucked up things that they've done. But they figured that no one will ever do a deep dive into their old tweets to find it or spend the time going through them, even as they continue to try and destroy fun. Because like before I get to the revelation, I'll put a content warning on it because it does contain blurred out images of Grumm's personal let's just say really fucked up behavior. A lot of these people ruin otherwise fun activities for everybody. The quartering included every single one of these right-wing reactionaries who constantly talk about how all of these fandom and cultures have gone woke, or they're being destroyed by DEI, or they're being destroyed by diversity and other shit like that. When you actually like speak to people in these communities, they're always, for the most part, awesome and wholesome. They're not like Grummz, right? Like if you go to a Magic the Gathering convention or something like that, it's not a bunch of quarterings walking around being like, oh, all the chicks who are here are all titty streamers, and all the cosplayers just want us to stare at their tits. Here's where she is, here's her location. Like, these are disgusting creeps. Discussing creeps who are just ruining fandoms for everybody, and it really fucking profoundly sucks. As someone who is like, I'm really big into retro gaming, I'm a massive video game nerd. I like going to retro gaming conventions sometimes and just seeing all the cool stuff that people come up with, especially when they're inventing like new hardware from, homemade devices. Like I've seen custom made NESs, the likes of which you wouldn't believe, where you're just like, that's just such a beautiful piece of art that you've made, this playable NES out of hardwood, and you've done all the, like, it's really neat. And cultures and fandoms surrounding nerd shit can be very beautiful things. It just takes a couple of creeps and weirdos to ruin it for everybody, and honestly to bring more creeps and weirdos along who can ruin it for everybody until people don't feel safe. I know there's this huge thing where it's like women shouldn't be gamers because they're not as good at video games, and the women don't know how to game because they should be cooking and cleaning. Like a lot of the reason why women have trouble breaking into the competitive gaming scene is the competitive gaming scene is so misogynistic and vile and targets women in such a way that, like, if you are on a voice channel, why the fuck do you want to sit in a room full of people who are just telling you that you should be fucking get off our game, you fucking bitch, you should be cleaning the kitchen, blah blah blah, go kill yourself and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, no one's gonna want to play a game when that's their experience, and no one's gonna want to play it every single day if that's their experience and get good at it and then rise to the ranks of being one of the people who are capable of playing competitively. On like the world stage. Some people end up trying to use voice modifiers. Some people don't use voice channels at all, but there's some games where you need to be able to use the voice channels to be able to competitively compete with other people. It just sucks when there's shitty people who ruin it for everyone. And they especially ruin it for members of the LGBTQ plus community, because that seems to be always one of their primary targets. It's always trans people. It's always gay people. It's always people that they consider to be lesser than. They've dehumanized, all that kind of shit. And they're always going after them. Sometimes for the most benign shit, it can be like, hey, in Spider-Man 2, there's like a pride flag. You can find it. It's in the city. There it is on the side of a wall. That's apparently a cause or an issue. And we got to talk about that. And we got to make videos on it. We got to make videos on how Spider-Man went woke, Marvel went woke, Disney went woke, and how they're destroying society. This is trying to influence kids into being gay. This is trying to influence kids into being trans or to being asexual. This is like something that is very serious. We need to talk about it. There's a pride flag in a video game in New York. Oh my God. And then it really sucks, because then the developers, when they're doing their next game, they have to think, well, is this going to be worth the backlash? Again, we were doing this out of solidarity. We weren't trying to push an agenda. We were just pro-LGBTQ plus generally, as most people in society are. But if we do this, then they're going to make a big fuss about it. They're going to make a mod. There's people who spend time out of their day to de-wokeify video games, and they make mods where every single like trans flag or pride flag has been just like completely erased or blacked out. Again, more time than people should be expending on anything, let alone on bigotry. But it's people like Grummz who spend the time and destroy people's lives effectively. It sucks. They ruin fun. They ruin fun. They ruin communities. They ruin all kinds of stuff. And they're also very, very dangerous, which is the other part of this. So I got to put a content warning on here. If you're unaware, loli is underage pornography of children drawn. There's a lot of controversy, I suppose, on the internet about people who both use and consume loli. You'll get the weirdest, pedophile, febophile defenders on the internet who like to defend it by saying this isn't hurting anybody. This is technically, there was no children harmed in the production of this, so why in the world are people trying to stop it? And then while there's children directly harmed in the production of the product itself, the hypersexualization of children is certainly something that I think, broadly speaking, most people would want to avoid in society, outside of the people who obviously want to consume it. It's never, like, you never get people trying to defend it from a, like, maybe this is something that could help a psychiatrist who's trying to help a non-offending pedophile from, not offending anymore stuff. It's always like, person got caught just retweeting, liking, and being a large consumer of this shit. And then all of a sudden people just run at the like, oh, well, it's not because he's a pedo. It's because the character is the 1,000-year-old dragon. It's not because he's a pedophile and loves this. It's because the character canonically changes. And in this one storyline, sure, she's like 4 years old, but in this other storyline, she's 14. So he was referring to the 14-year-old. So he's technically not a pedophile. He's an ephebophile, etc. All this shit. The 1,000-year-old dragon. Underage, like, they're consuming drawn images and drawn pornography of children. That's what they're doing when they both consume this shit and promote and retweet this shit. And in the case of Grummz, there's a fuck ton of not only him liking loli images, but retweeting loli images and then endorsing fanfic or fan art that he thinks are of loli images as well. Some people have questioned the validity of the Grummz loli show retweets. I assure you that through extensive archival through some of my mutuals, but mainly with the work of Wash Your Crack, we have verified them as authentic. Mark has nuked his history, and because it's important to hold a person accountable where they take money from and the people and the promises they make to the world, here's the archive. The file here is located at archive.org. The majority of the tweets were saved from archive.org to archive.org. It is important to note that this isn't trying to destroy Mark's project, M8er or Ember, or stop him from posting culture war BS. It's holding him to the regard that he holds himself. If that means he needs to apologize for his past behavior, then let him do it. Please like and share wide. Please make sure that the threads are linked, and I'll put the thread here that blew this open. So here it is for everybody to share. Content warning, there is blurred out, like someone has taken the time to black out the images of the loli in question in this picture, but we'll go to it. And I'm not very familiar with anime culture, so it's very helpful when people put this kind of stuff so we can actually get some context for it. To me, if you were like, yeah, this person just looks really young, right? Attributes: race, cat, girl, breed, mixed breed, gender, female, age, 9 months old. So the character is 9 months old canonically, just so everyone knows. It's a 9-month-old canonical character. Here's Grummz posting a picture of them. Grummz retweeted, hashtag navels for Grummz at Grummz. This one's pushing it a bit. Oh well, too bad. Grummz retweets this one. I hear you like navel at Grummz, maybe a little navel. And so the hypersexualization of characters who are 9 years old. For context, these screens are from an archive snapshot of his older tweets. Grummz found another one, a little fan art for the navel god, quote unquote. And here's one. At Grummz came across a picture yesterday that just demanded editing. Hope you like it. There's the Grummz picture poking the navel, and then Mark Kern retweeted it, aka Grummz. Once again, thanks for the navels. I think that did the trick. Happy face replies Grummz, Mark Kern, to that picture. This one is good. Yeah, no shit. I think there's another example down here of him. As you look through the archive, keep in mind these aren't some edgy teens tweets. This was a man over 45 with kids. He still holds the attitudes he expresses back then. He still objectifies and over-sexualizes women and still uses his following to harass people into silence. This is something that he said back before this whole thing got exposed, and it's even more disgusting now. So this is the person saying to him, hey, what's up with this, by the way? Just because this is a weird picture to have exist that you retweeted. And they said, this is Michelangelo's painting of me creating the navel and tummy trend in anime in ancient times. I take full credit. Now, these are deleted. Just keep in mind, he's just scrubbed all evidence of this. Just Grummz erasing from the internet all evidence of this. But I think people pointing this out initially were probably like, hey, Grummz, this looks like a kid and you poking a kid's belly button in this. Why are you like retweeting this shit? I don't know if the individuals knew that this individual happens to be 9 months old canonically as well. So again, to contribute towards the Grummz disgusting revelations that we have here. But again, this shocks me not at all. Not even the slightest. The least surprising revelation in 2024. If you had told me, hey, by the way, things that are going to happen in 2024, starts going through all the list of batshit stuff that have happened this year, Joe Biden is actually going to step down as the presidential candidate because he stopped being able to speak English. I'd be like, that's probably not going to happen. But yeah, good, interesting prediction. Hey, by the way, Grummz is going to be exposed as a massive loli pedo, not only enthusiast, but retweeter, sharer, enjoyer, all that kind of stuff. Yep, I would say that tracks. That 100% tracks. That's exactly what I expected for someone who has been, again, one of the centerpieces and obsessed like weirdos on a lot of properties, some of which are just directed towards kids. Like when you get adults on the internet who lose their shit about April O'Neil not being hot enough to them because the new TMNT children's cartoon for children has a character, and April O'Neil happens to be black in the new TMNT, and now it's just like, look what they took from us, this used to be our childhood, look how fucking sexy April O'Neil, white April O'Neil used to be, look at this, we have to stop this, bring back big-titted, sexy April O'Neil, get rid of this, and you're like, there's probably more going on here then. If you're getting this mad about a kid's property, one that you can still enjoy in its original form, like you can, if you're like, I have a lot of nostalgia for the original TMNT, as I do. I love the original TMNT animated series. I love the original, films with the prosthetics and the turtles and the Hanson and all the puppetry, all that stuff. I love that. I don't see brand new versions of it coming out affecting me in any way, shape, or form because they're not for me. Like, again, when there's, like, someone's like, hey, there's a new TMNT series. Cool. I think there's, like, 6 or 7 or at this point that I've probably missed out on. And it's like, but did you hear they changed it? In the new one, all the turtles are robots. Doesn't that really fuck with the whole, like, the story, the comic book? I was like, okay, but like, again, there's so many versions of TMNT at this point. The new animated version was funny. Great job, Seth Rogen. You made a good new animated stop motion cartoon that I thought was kind of adorable. What I don't get what the problem is here. And it's like, well, because April O'Neil's not sexy anymore. What about her tits? We used to be able to see her cleavage. Now it's a black woman. What is going on? She's in high school. Cool, neat. There's a new version of the story that other generations might be able to enjoy in ways that I didn't enjoy when I was a kid. This sounds good for them. Again, for children. when people are getting mad, say, about Sonic, and it's like, oh, I'm so mad, the new Sonic movie, blah, blah, blah. It's not for me, though, is it, right? Like, I've kind of grown out of really, really being excited for a Sonic cartoon. I would have been back in the day. It would have been a big thing for me. Maybe if I was, like, a 12-year-old talking about Sonic the Hedgehog, I'd have a lot of concerns about the way the property is being handled. As of right now, if people are enjoying it, then, don't really... Is it promoting really negative messaging to kids? Is it telling kids that you should hate people based on the color of their skin, that you should be a racist? Is it teaching kids that? No, it's teaching them worse things. What? Should love each other. Diversity is a strength. Things like that. Woke shit. They're destroying us, destroying kids. And then they made April O'Neil black. I'm still not over that. I'm still really mad about that. I'm guessing there's more to unpack here. Probably more to unpack. And again, probably should go seek therapy overall. I'd like, profoundly, if you are getting so mad at a video game because it doesn't have enough skin for you, I challenge you to play more video games, because there's so many video games that have so many sexy characters. You know, again, it's I play a lot of video games. All right, I play a fuck ton of video games. I can tell you, new AAA titles coming out. There's no shortage of sexy video game characters in video games, right? And maybe it's because I personally play video games to play video games, and I don't play video games to get off, right? And maybe that's one of the issues that causes friction here. So maybe if you are playing video games to get off, you need them in a very specific way. But that's why, like, most people don't play video games for that. And there's video games just for that. You can go seek those out, where the video games are just about having sex in all possible ways, and like in ways we can't even imagine. We have the technology now to make it all possible. You can go do that. But then people who just want to enjoy Stellar Blade, to enjoy a good action game that features a woman protagonist, that has really tight combat, that has really fun characters and level design, and that is something that some people might just want to do. Might want to go enjoy on their own time, and then, you know, the sexy games are too woke, apparently. I don't know. With the newest controversy surrounding Lara Croft, which at this point I don't even know what they're mad about anymore. Apparently it's called the DEI chin, and if I was to show it to you, you'll probably be as confused as I am, because I really don't understand what this is all about here. They really made Lara Croft short and chubby and plain-faced for the next game, complete with DEI chin, of course. Dun dun dun. Pew pew pew. This is a toy. On the right, this is a collectible toy that you can buy if you want a Lara Croft toy in your house. It's not video game graphics. It's a toy. If you want to buy the toy, you don't have to buy the toy. No one forces you to buy the toy. You can choose to never own the toy, and you never have to look upon the DEI chin again. But, my dudes, for the love of fuck, if this is some standard that you're developing for yourselves, you will lead a very unhappy life if you consider this to be an unattractive, chubby woman of some kind of egregious proportions. So much so that it warrants letting the world know. The world needs to know the DEI chin ruined video games. Adaptation toy lines available selectively. They're not in most stores. You go out of your way to try and purchase them, but you can buy them, and then when they're in their house, you'll look down at that toy and be like, yeah, boy, that sure is an unattractive woman there. They ruined beauty standards. They did. Look at this. She's just, you know. Can you talk about Chudhammer and how they've gone nuts with space? I don't know Space Marine 2, though. I don't know the Warhammer world. It's one of those video games that I never played a lot of. I know that it is rife with Nazis and fascists, and they love Warhammer, and they love... And I think it's really cool that it's a toy line that you can actually create and build in your own time, but I wouldn't know enough to know. But I know that Grummz has gone after it. Like, Grummz is ignoring all the pedophilia charges right now and saying that this is all part of, again, the attacks are ramping up on the woke, because I had the audacity to talk about Dragon Age. If you don't know, Dragon Age is a video game that all the writers are super mad about right now, because you can add, if you want to, you don't have to, but if you want to, you get customable sliders to add things. You can add things like cellulite. You can add surgery scars. These are options, selectable options, that you have the choice to use or not use at all. You can avoid them entirely. More people have more options, but that apparently is like the greatest attack on culture since a Black Samurai. It is now the fact that there are more options, more customization. It's like the dude who lost his shit about pronouns. Fucking pronouns! Modern day California shit. Pronouns! Well, that he, him, sissy, losing his mind over that shit, over a default setting that you don't have to change. If you play the game, you are by default he, him, or she, her. If you want to go out of your way and just really feel oppressed, you want oppression simulator, you can have it by selecting they, them, and then being like, oh, it's an option, and then going back to he, him. If you want it, you don't have to. Again, it's not something you have to do in these games where you can select multiple things. Customization's a good thing. It's fun. More options is better. It's like the profoundly sad thing about all this, once you get past the ridicule and the laughing at them and all the outrage over bullshit, is that like when I interviewed Megaran, for example, really awesome hip hop artist and also gamer. Go check out his channel, twitch.tv/Megaran. Megaran's logo is Mega Man, but it's a black Mega Man. And one of the things I asked him is that, like, what was the process behind this? What made you want to select this character? Blah, blah, blah. And his answer was very, very common, which is that I had never seen myself in video games in that era, in the late 1980s, when the NES was really popular. And then we had the Sega Master System, we had the NES, and eventually the Super Nintendo, the Genesis. But at that time, I didn't see myself. I didn't see black video game characters, and I wanted to. And so I would make the Mega Man video game character black. I would do that on my own, and that started to become part, you know, of my nerd culture personality. Nerd just like me, but unlike me, who the default setting was always just white people, and that it was so common that white people like myself never thought about this because we never had to. I never once thought about that. Like, it is weird that every single major motion picture coming out of the 1980s and 1990s, all these huge blockbuster films, the majority of the cast are usually white dudes. The heroes are usually white dudes for the most part. And there's a couple exceptions along the way, of course, but those exceptions are notable as exceptions. And oftentimes it's called, well, that's the black superhero movie, Blade. Yeah. That one's the one with the black guy in it, the Blade one. Yeah, so that's the black one, yeah. But then you just get used to the idea of the default setting being white. So if you have more options, if you can create a character, why take that away from anyone? If someone wants to make this white, cis, alpha Chad looking dude with the non-DEI chin and all that stuff, you can do that. If someone doesn't want to do that, they have the ability to do that. What's the problem? Who gets hurt in this process, you know? Just really sensitive ass undeveloped men, like little snowflake baby men who want to oppress women or black people or just complain about shit all day while they scam all their fans for hundreds of thousands of dollars when they're not looking up a whole bunch of loli pornography on the internet and retweeting it. That's basically what Grummz is at this point. Oh, okay, so here's him going after the people who exposed him. Kotaku reporter let go after launching fake smear campaign against me. This was this morning, but he since deleted the tweets. Bio is still up. Tweets are still up. What are you talking about? I was informed this morning after taking 2 weeks of no contact that I in fact no longer take residence of Kotaku staff editorialist. I learned about this from the head honcho. While I'm disappointed, this allows me to turn back and focus on my nonprofit I decided for. The nonprofit called Anonymous Gamergaters. That's to break the cycle. Okay, we follow each other. I can find out the true story behind this. I was informed this morning after taking 2 weeks of no contact that I, in fact, no longer take residence at Kotaku as a staff editorialist. I learned about this from the head honcho. While I would be disappointed, this allows me more time to focus on the nonprofit I am decided to bring into the coming year. Explanations will be in the next week. Messages for Grummz or Mark. Your campaign against woke ideology is fleeting. It will only serve to destroy the things you hold dear, and those wounds will be self-inflicted. Did you stop to ask yourself, why is it so easy to be fooled by a guy behind a keyboard? The fact that even in 2015, you didn't do enough due diligence to make sure the girls you were drunkenly retweeting with one hand were little young-looking and outright underage characters? Why would that be bad for your image? Did you stop to think believing a fake Japanese guy had info in Assassin's Creed would hurt the credibility of your crusade against woke, when it was just about a black protagonist for you? Did you stop to think that running your mouth about Warhammer and being inconceivably wrong about that too is showing your inability to formulate any credibility beyond something being someone who has a resume in the industry? Did you think that relentlessly attacking anyone with Kotaku in their bio would help build your player base and convert them into sales of your game? Or was it because your deep-seated hatred for people telling you are wrong when it comes from women and minorities? Did you think there would not be any consequences? Mark, I can call you that. Think for a moment. Is this the working, or is this a fantasy where you are the Giga Chad who defeats the blue-haired feminist developer trying to make games more accessible for LGBTQIS, two-spirit plus disabled and minority gamers by ending wokeness? More intoxicating than being responsible to your backers for delivering a game you promised 6 to 8 years ago. Is that your legacy? Declaring yourself a winner for every time you get embarrassed and it doesn't work out, except for the sorry individuals who think you're doing something to everyone else is a thing, cry for help? Cut it out, to be honest, and shut up and deliver your game or pay them back. And thanks for confirming that you're a lolicon. The nonprofit is called Gamers Anonymous, for Gamergaters trying to break the cycle of hate, which will feature one-on-one sessions to talk about how harassment is not the way and journalists are not your enemy and how to get to the root cause of hate, loneliness. Oh, I love this idea because it's so true. It's so true. Like, the truth of the matter behind a lot of the online fucking far right chud reactionary armies and all that kind of stuff is I don't hate any of them as much as I hate Grummz or Andrew Tate or Sneeko or any of the fatherheads who are grifting these poor lonely people along the way. And yes, they're not like forgiven for any of the fucked up shit they do. If they're doxing people, harassing people, they should be treated as doxers, harassers. If they're trying to sexually harass people, etc., for sure. But the bigger picture here is that people like Andrew Tate, they're really, really good at marketing towards a demographic that are looking for answers. There are a lot of young men on the internet who are looking for guidance, who are looking for father figures, who are looking for how do I make it in this world that is changing so rapidly before me, where on one end I feel as if I am being vilified consistently because all of the things that I thought that I liked or I was taught to like or I was raised to like in my life, especially all of the like, you know, imprinting of what it is to be masculine, be a man, masculine, be a man. Well, a lot of these things now are being called toxic or negative, and that I'm apparently a bad person. And so I'm alienated by liberals. I'm alienated by them. They condescend to me. They tell me about my white privilege. They tell me about my cis privilege. They tell me about my male privilege. And I feel like shit. I feel like garbage all the time. I'm lonely. I want to find love. I want to find a partner. I want to meet a girl. I want to have a girlfriend, and I keep fucking up along the way, and I get more lonely, and it makes me have less self-worth. I feel less worthy, and that is directly connected to my worth as a man, which goes into my entire sense of identity. As a cis man, this crisis of identity is not being identified by the very people who speak out about these kind of issues. And so there is these enormous amounts of lonely men on the internet who look for guidance, and unfortunately the people who have a sales pitch for them are the Andrew Tates and the Sneekos who can come along, or the Grummz who will talk about how this is all a culture war and the woke is trying to destroy you, but will come along and they just want their money. That's it. They don't care if they turn them into worse people. They don't care if they take them and indoctrinate them and bring them in, and it's all like, are you hurting? Are you lonely? Are you sad? That's because of the fucking Matrix, bro. The Matrix has the entire world upside down. And yeah, no one wants to talk about this, but women actually control the world, and they're trying to manipulate all of us with their sexy bodies, and they're all whores. Every single one has a body count. I gotta teach you all of this shit. I gotta teach you how to look smacks. I gotta teach you how to be able to maximize yourself and manipulate all of these fucking bitches and control them. And here's all this techniques. I'm going to teach you it all in a Discord channel you got to pay a lot of money for. But once you get in there, bro, and you pay a couple grand, you'll learn all these fucking techniques and how to flip the system and escape the Matrix just like I did. Then you'll get the cars, the women, the fame, the money, the Bugattis, and all the things that I'm trying to sell you on are the very things that society-wide teach you. This is what it is to be a man. This is how you become a man. You do it down this road. And it really fucking sucks that people will fall down these pathways because, like, it's a sales pitch that's so easy on the behalf of the Andrew Tates to make. He thinks he's this, like, you know, really, really courageous edgelord. He's a coward. It's so easy to play into people's already preconceived biases. It's a lot harder to try and call other people out for that. It's a lot more awkward. It's a lot more difficult to try and change yourself, of all things, to recognize these patterns, to recognize this shit, and recognize, yeah, that isn't true. There isn't a conspiracy where women globally are trying to control and manipulate men, and it plays itself out in the judicial system, and this is the reason why men lose custody of the kids, and men have higher rates of suicide, and men have all these problems. And it's because of women. No, but they will focus and make all these dudes believe that, and that turns them into worse men who will hate women even more, only now they have secrets to try and manipulate them and get revenge on them and get revenge on women. Women are the enemy. Women are the problem, and they're not. The Andrew Tates of the world are the problem, manipulating you through the system. And yes, they are not they're a symptom of it. They're profiteers. They are male loneliness profiteers, male epidemic profiteers. The world is changing rapidly, and they are capable of finding a niche that grifts off it very, very successfully along the way. And unfortunately, it's not just hating women. You got to hate wokeness. You got to hate the LGBTQ plus community. You got to hate DEI. You got to hate all of this other shit along the way, which also really fucking sucks. But yes, they're symptoms of an already broken system that continues to, again, punish men and punish women simultaneously. Women are damned if they do, damned if they don't. Men have only one way to be men, and that is to be the successful man under capitalism, the protector, the earner, the everything. And when that becomes increasingly more difficult, or the dynamics themselves change, then all of a sudden, what is a man loses its very value as what is a human, and men look for answers from these sick freaks. Lol confirmed, thank you. I'm out. Full disclosure, I did have a drunk night and did in fact retweet shitting dick nipples once for the hell of it when it was sent to me. I'm sure that will be Kotaku's next gotcha, but they'll be too busy fapping to it to type. Fucking sick. Gross. Okay, so everyone was asking, is there an apology or is there a ukulele? Here it is. There's your apology. This one's grosser than Dr. Disrespect. At least Dr. Disrespect realized the severity of what he was being called out for and accused of, and so even then was like, was there inappropriate messages with a minor? Yes. Oh shit. Okay, let's take up minor. Was there inappropriate messages? Yes. Did I no wrongdoing? Blah 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 blah. Okay, there up. Oh, people can see the edits. Shit. We'll leave it for a bit. No. Oh, they're all calling me out for taking that out. Yeah, okay. Edit. Minor. All right, minor's back in there. Case closed. And where do we go from here, I guess? A lot of people still calling me a pedo, saying I live on Epstein Island. So you're saying they're all posting some Kendrick track and not like us. I don't know. Either way, I got an idea. I'll just, the whole thing was a plan. I was just playing 12D chess. I planted the stories. I got you all that kind of shit. Well, for Grummz, I guess, yeah, the fact that there's a surplus of him liking, sharing, and retweeting nude drawings of children. Apparently it was a drunk night. I did have a drunk night, and I did, in fact, retweet shitting dick nipples once for the hell of it. Really fucked up way to phrase it, but you're saying that you did, you're admitting, so you confirmed it. It's confirmed. The end of story. I wish. I mean, end of story for anyone who has decency and likes to call out people who are child abusers for his own crew. Probably gonna keep going. Probably for them, it's like, oh, what's the big deal? It's just a couple of drawings, and we're supposed to get mad at you for your drawings. Oh no, I'm cancelled again. I think it's hilarious that a Kotaku reporter is so triggered by the demolishment of woke games this year that they are now combing through thousands of Naval Saturday tweets to try and cancel me. This is because I'm effective and their world is crumbling. I think it's because you're a lolicon, sir. You are into drawn sexualized pictures of kids and sharing drawn sexualized pictures of kids. By the way, any Grummz followers under the age of 18 are now getting exposed to Grummz sharing drawn pictures of naked children. That's also something to be worried about. Yeah, because, you know, that would be Grummz grooming his fans, trying to normalize some pretty abhorrent behavior. Yeah.
Hey, if you'd like to unlock secret bonus episodes as well as uncensored content, go to patreon.com/The Serfs. This show is produced by Anna Loves Riley, Arian McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Poppy, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Travis McClinton, Trincel, Words Greenwood, with additional support coming from all of these amazing human beings right here.